Hey world, being when we come back to the video, fam, I'm just gonna piggyback on my last video. I had to delete it because the sound was so low, so I want to go ahead and re-upload this video. Like I say, the title, uh, Queen Elizabeth, okay, Brett Favre, and the market. That's the title, Queen Elizabeth, Brett Favre, and the market. And the reason why I chose to use those titles or those particular names because I just want us to understand that we have to pay ourselves first because there's a reason why certain people are able to get away with the things they get away with and be revered as these upstanding, virtuous people when they're not. Let's take so-called Queen Elizabeth, for example. For the last week and a half, it was like this whole coronation celebration of her death. And I'm trying to understand that did we forget that the British monarchy or the British colonies are right now to this day still affecting millions and millions of people? Do you think that when the Bahamas have issues, or Jamaica, Australia, you know, over 100 Commonwealth countries that they colonize, we have to look at it in terms of today, but having the same mindset of yesterday. Because we can't let the cell phones and the electric cars and the bling and the NBA and so-called stars get you, you know, cloud your judgment to think that like everything is kosher because it's not. I mean, Afro-melanated people around the world today are still disenfranchised, still subjugated, still discriminated against. You got to ask yourself why. And for any Afro-melanated person to be upset or sad because the Queen of England transitioned or died, you got to ask yourself, do you have no history? I mean, even if you go back to so-called Texas history and so-called United States history, the hypocrisy is unbelievable. It's kind of like, it's like this really is the Matrix. How do you think that the Europeans are in so much power, have, own everything? It's not by accident. They colonized the major continents around the world. Queen Elizabeth and her peoples own 6.6 billion acres of land. That's a sixth of all the land on the earth. One family, one bloodline. And this bloodline has murdered, raped, killed, persecuted, discriminated. I mean, any negative words you can use to describe a group of people been totally, totally subjugated. That's them. And people in America, Afro-melanated people that believe in this political system, you really have to ask yourself why. It's not this not the American people. It's the British American people. Why do you think the whole government is set up just like England? Instead of them having a prime minister, they call it the president. Okay, instead of them having a parliament, they call it Congress. Instead of them, and even the leaderships in these so-called political parties, you have the House Majority Whip, the House Minority Whip. That comes from England. Even when you look at the lawyers and you look at what do they have to do, they have to pass the bar exam. What is the bar? That's the British Accredited Registry. They become esquires. What is esquire? That's British. And so United States never, ever really separated themselves from England. It's kind of like in the United States right now, California saying, you know what? We're no longer part of the United States and we're going to do our own thing. But still speaking English, still going to McDonald's and Burger King and still having the same school system, still having the same, everything. Do you see how crazy that is? I mean, and I hate to use this analogy, but I just, for effect and for purpose, it's kind of like a person that's raped. You're not going to worship your rapists. You're not going to have statues of the rapists in your city, in your pictures of the rapists on your wall. It's not happening. And so for the United States to think that they separated from England is a farce. All right. And Brett Favre, of course, stealing money from Mississippians, the poets of the poor in Mississippi. Come on, man. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? So pay yourself first, family. Make sure that you look into the stock game, because remember, a lot of these particular opportunities that we would never have an opportunity to even purchase or invest in is now here. Right now, you got Google, you got Amazon, you have Apple. All these stocks were worth thousands of dollars a share. Now they're not. Right now, Google is under $100 a share. Amazon like 113. Apple 150. Okay, but right now, the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates 75 basis points. That means 3/4 points. It's only going to get worse out of family. All right? So make sure you pay yourself first. Make sure you stay focused, stay conscious. And remember, you can always manifest your reality. Quit dropping to your knees thinking that just praying and praying and praying is going to do it. No, you already have to live as if you already have what you want. Okay? The I am in you will provide that for you. Okay? So just kind of remember that, family. And in the meantime, between time, may the Most High inside you bring you joy. And being with us out of 5,000.